Hi, just wanted to say that there will be spoilers in this video, even though we've all already seen the show on illegal websites or TikTok already. As we all know, Euphoria Season 2 came out in January and it was huge. For months, all I saw on the internet were memes and clips from the show. Viewership increased by 100% and everyone would not stop talking about it, including me. If you know me at all, you would know that I was absolutely obsessed with the first season of Euphoria. And no matter what happens to the show, I will always love it. But not because of the makeup or fashion, but because of the writing. So you can imagine my excitement for Season 2. Like, I waited 2 whole years for this and I was ready. And then, what happened?
Euphoria chooses to misguidedly glorify and erroneously depict high school student drug use, addiction, anonymous sex, violence, and other destructive behaviors as common and widespread in today's world.
Okay, let's just all calm down, take a deep breath, just chill. I'm just gonna say it now, I was disappointed. I knew that the second season wouldn't be as great as the first, but wow, I was not expecting this. I don't think any of us were. So, let's break down the show together and try and figure out what the hell happened. These are all the points I'm gonna make. I hope you enjoy. Euphoria is a very character-driven show, and Season 1 was all about introducing them. By revealing their traumatic moments from their childhood, we can understand the person they became and sympathize with them. So, for Season 2, we can focus on who these people are now. And they are a mess. Don't get me wrong, they were a mess in Season 1, but the writing was so organized that it didn't feel like it. Like, every storyline was connected. They all had a common ground, whether that be an event, relationship, background. Take this long shot in the carnival episode. See how it's following each character? They're all going through different things, but it doesn't feel messy because they're all connected. Now, in Season 2, they're all in different locations, like Maddy is off babysitting, Rue and Jules are at Elliot's place, Nate's in his car a lot, Cal is off the fucking rails, and Kat isn't even in the show. It's all so disorganized. And keep in mind, they had 2 years to write this. But that's what's so weird. This script was rewritten so many times. And it's not just simple dialogue. Key elements to a story were written like the day before.
So Fez was originally supposed to be shot, right? I knew like 2 days or a day before, actually, because he rewrote the script, the whole thing of like me in the bathtub, the crazy shootout, like pretty much the day before. It's pretty crazy.
Season 1 was so planned. Each character had so many layers and the show had a great formula overall. So what happened? I think that's the biggest problem with this season's writing. There's just no structure. And since they didn't have a structure anymore, I feel like they had to make up for the screen time by just throwing in random shit. And that random shit was made into such a big deal that just led nowhere. For example, the suitcase. So much time was spent on Rue trying to get it, and so much time was spent on her dragging it around. And after episode 5, it's just not mentioned again? I'm so confused. How do you go from a masterpiece of a season to a mess? Honestly, the only storyline that reminded me of the first season's writing was Rue's, but we'll get into that later. Sorry for comparing the 2 seasons a lot, but it's impossible not to. The first season was absolutely insane with their camera work. These shots are fucking incredible, and what made it so incredible was the emotional realism. The camera would move in a way that showed us exactly how each character was feeling. Take the shot of Kat. It's a plain background, but the camera is angled in a way that makes her look like a fucking badass that we're looking up to. We know exactly how she's feeling through this one shot. For Season 2, they definitely made the emotional realism more visual, like that long montage of Rue and Jules. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of this. Don't get me wrong, some were amazing. Like the one with Cassie and the flowers is so beautiful. But I think that there were so many shots like this that were back to back that it just left me confused. Characters and performances. What happened? I'm so confused because I loved all these characters in Season 1. I'll admit, I cried for them. Even the ones that were shitty, I can find some way to sympathize with them. But this season, what happened? I'll start off with Rue since she's the protagonist and she was the only one with an arc this season. But it makes sense that a drug addiction storyline would have a satisfying conclusion since it is based off Sam Levinson. Episode 5 was easily the best episode in this entire fucking season. Everything was so good and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Zendaya's performance was fucking insane. I have loved Zendaya since I was a little girl because of Shake It Up, and her acting, Give her another Emmy right now. Where the hell did Jules go? She had no arc and did nothing except get yelled at by Rue. This was extremely disappointing because Fuck Anyone Who's Not a Sea Blob is my favorite episode of this entire show and my favorite episode of television ever. The only arc she gets this season was telling Rue's mom about Rue's addiction, but this doesn't work because there was no build up to that. What changed in Jules that made her want to start making good decisions? Cause all we've seen is her making bad ones. I actually get why she cheated on Rue. Elliot represents a part of Rue, a bad one, but still a part. And Rue is right. Jules loves to be loved as a result of her traumatic childhood. I just wish that the cheating was addressed. Like, she fucking cheated on her, we're just gonna ignore it? Elliot could have been an interesting character, but he had no backstory, no motives, nothing. Does he even have a last name? He was just there as a way to create more drama. The song was beautiful, but why the hell is it so long? This could have worked if they played a montage of all the characters with this song in the background. Like, look, even Rue looks bored. Maddy was actually my favorite character from the first season, so thank God she didn't completely disappoint. I liked how she kind of questioned what she wanted in life since she stuck with her love for Nate. I just wish they elaborated on that a little more. Also, I was confused on what her arc was supposed to be this season. Like, they hinted at her being overly aggressive and trying to overcome it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then she beats up Cassie in the end, so I'm like, okay, I guess we're just throwing that out the window. And I really wish that when she started going back to Nate, Kat would step up and be the voice of reason. This would make sense based on Kat's arc from the first season. Speaking of Kat, we all know what happened with Barbie and Sam Levinson. As much as I'm annoyed that Kat barely got any screen time, I'm also confused. Personally, I don't think Kat should have had any arc. When there's so many new storylines and characters, you gotta make some cuts. I'm not saying cut Kat completely out of the show, I'm saying don't add fuel to the flame. The show's already messy, and the scenes of Kat that do make it in made it messier. Kat was like the only one with a happy ending in the first season, so I wish the show would have used that to make Kat the voice of reason in season 2, especially for Maddy. I really liked Fez in season 1, so when the show opened with his backstory, I was really excited for him. But besides the first episode, he didn't get as much screen time as I hoped. I was way more interested in his romance with Lexi than the whole mess with Nate, Cassie, and Maddy, because it was clear from the beginning that the three of them weren't gonna end well, but with Fez and Lexi, there was hope. Speaking of Lexi, I have mixed feelings about her. I love the idea of Lexi, a quiet, shy background character who's finally stepping up, and I can relate to her a lot, but I think she got a little too much screen time. There were some moments while watching her, I was just thinking, where the hell is Jules? Maud Apatow's performance was probably the weakest of the cast, which is important since her character played such a huge role this season. Cal was fucking insane this season, and I loved it. He kind of reminded me of season 1 BoJack Horseman. By showing his backstory, we can understand why he acts the way he does. It's getting harder for him to hide his insanity under his tough guy exterior, and it makes sense why revisiting the bar broke him. I know his dick swinging around made people on TikTok go insane, but honestly, it made sense. Cal hit rock bottom and he knows it, and he owns it. I loved how his story ended. This man has done some unforgettable shit, and he accepts that he is irredeemable. If the show tried to give him a redemption arc, I deadass would have stopped watching. Ollie was my other favorite character from season 1. Give this man more screen time. I hope they give Gia her own cold open next season. I think the trauma of losing a father and everything Rue put her through would be really interesting to explore. How is this guy not in jail already? Cassie. Oh my god, girl. I want to start off by saying that I love Sydney Sweeney, and her performance was so good. She really surprised me this season, and I hope she wins some awards. But let's talk about Cassie. She was the main focus in a lot of episodes, which surprised me, but I was down to see more of her since she probably broke my heart the most in season 1. But she just kept getting worse and whines a lot about how she's not the bad guy here. Everything Cassie related was about Nate. I get that part of her character is getting validation from men, but there's more to a character than just that. I wish they explored how her breakup with McKay affected her and the abortion. Those were huge parts of season 1 that had me tearing up, and I hate how they just got over it so quickly. Also, where the hell did McKay go? Season 1 showed us that Cassie's trauma is rooted in men only seeing her as a sex object. So why is she over-sexualized this season? Like, I was genuinely so uncomfortable, and I get that this is supposed to be Nate's fantasy, but what is the message here? I was incredibly uncomfortable this season. This is actually a big problem. Yes, season 1 had way too much nudity too, but there were moments where it made sense. Like, it was used to prove a point. In season 2, I was very disturbed. Like you really didn't need to do that? And the fact that there were no messages, no arcs, and they're teenagers. Please stop. Please. The only scene I remember where the nudity worked like season 1 was when Cal went back to his family. No, I didn't enjoy seeing it, but that's the point. Cal is off the rails, absolutely insane, and the nudity was used to prove that. But that's the only scene I remember, and everything else? Like, what the fuck? Season 1's ending was really good, especially with Rue's relapse. I don't think I've ever gotten so emotional over a show until I saw that musical number, and I still listen to All For Us all the time. So initially, I had very high expectations for season 2's ending, but as I kept watching the show, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting worried. That scene of Rue and Labyrinth was so good, oh my god. But after watching it, I thought that should be the season 2 finale. It's a great step up from Rue's relapse scene, so seeing it in like the middle of the show had me even more worried. But then I saw the actual ending. I like it, I think. I'll say that it's a great ending to Rue's arc. Her leaving Jules, that was a good parallel to the first season. Her walk down the hallway left me super hopeful for the future, and the whole thing just gave me hope, which is my name, so I liked it. But I can't say that I loved it. There were so many plot holes and mind bugs, like Rue owing Lori the money, Kat and McKay disappearing from the show, the guy from season 1 wrongfully being sent to jail, Nate being out there, Cassie being an absolute train wreck, and so much more. Like, it just left me feeling disappointed in this entire season. I do agree with the argument that Euphoria would make a lot more sense if it was in college, but at this point there's nothing you can do about it. So this is my tip on how to improve the show. Make this a show about trauma. Season 1 was about addiction, to not just drugs, but love and attention. Season 2 was about random drama and God knows what. Now make the rest of the show about the recovery process and dealing with the trauma from it. Bring back the messed up shit these characters went through in season 1 and discuss them, how it affects their decisions, their daily lives, and the people around them. That way, you can fill in the plot holes and questions the audience has while also focusing on other characters. Like, if you focus on Gia, you could bring up the topic of secondary trauma. Or if you focus on Ali, give him a cold open, you can show how some people can take their trauma and use it to help others. These characters have been through hell and back, and you can't just sweep it under the rug. Final thoughts. The makeup still looks great, the wardrobe is still very Euphoria, and the overall appearance of the show is pretty good. I love the new change, by the way. The camera was different, and they used yellow instead of purple, and it just felt more grittier, and I like that a lot. This season tackled issues that were intentionally very uncomfortable to watch, so the yellow really drove that point in. Episode 1 and 5 were my favorites. They felt like Euphoria and actually had a good structure. As a whole, season 2 wasn't the worst. I think that since season 1 was so great and we waited 2 fucking years, it just made season 2 feel worse. There were still some great moments, but when there's an overwhelming amount of chaos, it's kinda hard to see them. I hope that for next season, Sam Levinson gets a writer's room and listens to the overall public opinion and the actors. Fuck Anyone Who's Not a C-Blob is still my favorite episode, and it was co-written by Hunter. I get that it might be an ego thing, saying, I wrote an entire show, especially since it's Euphoria. But if you don't listen to other people and work as a team, you get another Riverdale. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all the love on my Bridgerton video. Go see it if you haven't. I loved making that, and I loved making this one too. So subscribe if you want. I hope you have a good day. Bye!